Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Radio here today for Thursday, July 18th, 2024. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week so far. We got The Miz back on WrestleRant Radio today to talk about his new A&E doc that aired last week, talking all about his career, John Cena's recent retirement announcement, CM Punk being back in WWE, and so much more. It's a great interview. We were actually only allotted 10, 15 minutes, but he just would not, by the end, and not in a bad way, would not stop talking. He just kept going, and I was trying to wrap it up. Poor PR people trying to wrap it up as well. And Miz just kept going, which was great. It gave me a lot of great content. It was a very entertaining conversation. So you'll be hearing that momentarily here on the show, followed by my usual conversation with Mr. Marceau, talking all the latest in the world of wrestling. You can catch new episodes of WrestleRant Radio every single week, every single Thursday on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, all your favorite podcast platforms. Rate the show, review the show, subscribe to the show. Never miss new episodes every single Thursday. That being said, folks, enjoy my exclusive interview with WWE superstar, former WWE champion, and the star of the new A&E Legends biography, The Miz. Graham GSM Matthews here with Bleach Report and Fansided. Today we're talking to The Miz out of the upcoming episode of WWE Legends biography on A&E, airing this Sunday, July 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Miz, my man, what's going on, dude?
You know, I'm actually in Tahoe right now because there's the American Century Championship. It's a golf tournament between celebrities, and it's fun to see, people that are elite in football, basketball, baseball, hockey, all worlds of entertainment, and they're the best of the best at their sport. But then they come here and play golf, and they're not the best anymore. And the field is leveled, and it's amazing, and it's so much fun. I'm having a blast. This is a big week for me because not only am I doing this, but my documentary comes out with A&E biography, WWE Legends, The Miz, July 14th, Sunday, 8/7 Central. And it's crazy. Like when they asked me hey, can we do a documentary on you? I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know why. And then once we got into, my life and the questions that they were asking, I was like, oh, this is going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realize, I guess you don't realize your story, right? You're living it. Each and every day you're living your life. And then when someone comes and says hey, we want to, talk about your story and tell your story from when you were in Parma to where you were, on the Real World, then on Tough Enough, then going into WWE and not being accepted by WWE, then winning championships, then fading, then winning more championships. And, to where I am today as a dad of two beautiful little girls and a loving husband to Maurice. So my story is a lot cooler than I ever thought it would be. But, living it, I'm sitting here just in awe and being like, wow, how did I do that?
Yeah, to be considered a WWE legend. I mean, you would think that you would be already considered in that category after 20 years in the company. But I think being as active as you are, even to this day, still a champion as of a couple weeks ago, of course, no longer the World Tag Team Champion, but capturing the gold earlier this year. These documentaries come out, like the 24 on You a couple years ago. There's a really positive reaction. And then people kind of forget about it. And then a Legends documentary comes out. And then people kind of, again, Miz is really that good. Do you ever get used to that? Does it surprise you to see positive reactions? I know you've been a fan favorite for the last little while, but are you used to it at this point or not so much?
No, I'm not used to it at all. people are like, what would you rather be? It's like, I love being hated.
Yeah.
I like, a lot of people, like, some bad guys don't like to be hated. Like, they'll go on, X or Instagram and look at the comments to see if they're like, oh, I don't like him, but man, is he cool? Or I don't like him, but man, he's got cool moves. I don't like that. I want people to despise me and can't stand me. And that's me doing my job to the best of my ability. And now, after, I don't know, 18 years of being a bad guy, all of a sudden you attach yourself to R-Truth and you're going to be beloved, because there is no one more beloved in WWE than R-Truth. And people always say, like, I'm underrated. I don't think people realize how underrated R-Truth is as a talent. He's been here longer than everybody else and has been able to evolve and make amazing content. Like, he's taken seriously, but he also can be funny. That's very difficult to do. Very difficult. Funny is usually you're not taken seriously. You're just a goof. Truth is able to find that fine line. And I'm loving being along with the ride with him.
I know you've been, obviously, like you said, a bad guy for most of your career. You like being a bad guy. That's your natural role. But you can't, I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit, though, for being a good guy as well. And this obviously isn't the first. I mean, you've done it a couple different times. And I feel like in the shows that I've been to, anyway, from my own experience, people really like you as a babyface in that role. Like, you get really strong reactions, like during the whole Shane thing a couple years ago, when you initially turned about 10 years ago. Like, again, even when you may not have direction, people still gradually, organically gravitate towards you. Like you mentioned, the R-Truth thing. People love R-Truth. And obviously, by association, people will like you too. But the Gunther feud late last year, Miz, I mean, people were already kind of turning in your favor. I feel like every couple of years we go through these phases where people are like, yeah, like, Miz is actually really good. Like, let's stop hating on the guy for a little bit. I feel like you are in your element as well as a babyface. I just feel like you don't give yourself enough credit in that respect.
Well, I appreciate that. The Miz will tell you I'm the greatest babyface of all time. Mike will be very humble, and it's just kind of the way I am, right? But it's funny. It takes a special talent to out heel me, if you will, out bad guy me. And Shane McMahon, as well as Gunther, were able to do that and turn me into where people cheer me, which honestly, when I was with Gunther, I was like, I don't know how this is happening. Mm-hmm. Like, granted, Shane McMahon beat up my dad. So, I mean, like, yeah, no one's going to like him, but it was just verbally, we were just going at it and he was beating me up. And all of a sudden I hear crowd start saying, like, let's go Miz. And I'm like, I thought they were going to cheer for Gunther, to be honest with you. I really did.
Interesting. In Chicago, no less, too.
Right. Exactly. I was like, oh, this is going to be a Gunther crowd, no doubt. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. And I don't think I can speak higher enough about the talent that is Gunther, like how talented he is, not only in the ring, but I don't think people give him credit for story-wise, mm-hmm. how he's able to connect a story. That's very difficult to do. And the way he was able to hold on to the Intercontinental Championship and make it exactly what it needs to be, prestigious and relevant and on pay-per-views. And I think Sami Zayn is doing the exact same thing right now. And I'm loving that the Intercontinental Championship is doing that, because that's the title that as a kid, I loved more than any other title. All my favorites held that title. So to see what they were able to do with it is always cool to see.
And you mentioned earlier, too, how some people regard you as one of the most underrated WWE superstars of all time. Of course, that quote coming from a couple days ago, it's in the doc, but you had tweeted out the preview for it from John Cena himself, about to retire, announced the other day. Someone you have a lot of history with, obviously, at WrestleMania and just over the course of your career, integral to a lot of the success you had early on is John Cena. Your thoughts, first of all, on him calling you one of the most underrated talents of all time, and two, thoughts on Cena wrapping up his career in 2025 and maybe being a part of said retirement tour.
I'm humbled. When you hear, I always call him the GOAT. Like, I think he is the greatest of all time from what he was able to do for so long. It's just, and how good he really is in a ring. Like, I can sit across here and you can be a fan and you can watch John Cena, and I can't explain to you how good he is in there. You can watch it and say, oh, he's really good. But what he is able to do and able to connect with an audience is unlike anyone I've ever seen. He knows what to do and when to do it when he's in the ring with you to get a crowd to where he wants them to be. And it's a very difficult thing to do. It's a talent and that John Cena has. And for him to say that I am the most underrated superstar in history, it means a lot because, you know, I've been in the ring with him. I've main evented WrestleMania with him. And we've done a lot of, I mean, last year at WrestleMania, the day after, I'm sitting there doing a You Can't See. This is my biggest rival, right? John Cena. And I'm doing the You Can't See Me with him and doing an AA with him in the ring. Like, if you would have told me, you know, 15 years ago that I would be, you know, doing AAs and high-fiving John Cena and give him a hug and he'd be on my documentary saying that I'm underrated, I'd have been like, not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. But for him to even be a part of my documentary, it just says so much about him because this guy is a bona fide movie star. He's working, he's got Peacemaker, he's got all these accolades that he's been doing, and he made time for me, for my documentary. And I think the world of him. And I love the fact that he's coming back for one more WrestleMania, but not only that, he's going to do a bunch of other dates, you know, and I'm glad that this generation is going to be able to learn from him as well. Like, I always try to teach what he taught me and Randy Orton has taught me. And I try to give that, what I've learned from them, to the up and coming generations. But to actually get in the ring with him is unlike anything. And I'm excited for the new crop of talent that gets to do that.
Obviously, your documentary is going to cover your entire career and all the matches and feuds and stories that you've had with all of these people, John Cena included, Triple H, Shawn, Randy, literally all the GOATs of the last 20 years. You've shared the ring with them at some point or another, including CM Punk, who's now back in WWE after a long hiatus, and he's kind of smoothly fit right back into things right where he left. As someone who's had a history with him inside the ring and whatnot, just talk about how it's been like having him back in WWE and, you know, reports of you guys burying the hatchet, so to speak, about a year ago. Can you confirm whether that happened or not?
It did. That was interesting, actually. So I think Elias, me and Elias were up in the locker room. He goes, I think you just saw CM Punk. I'm like, no, you didn't. There's no possible. I mean, by the way, this is before CM Punk came back, right? This is like months and months before, like, I would actually a year probably before. Like, he just came to a random show in Chicago. I guess someone invited him to come, and he was, you know, kind of waiting to talk to someone. And I walked by, and we just kind of started talking. And it was one of those. It was really a good conversation, you know, without going into depth of what we were talking about and how it was. But it was just two grown men who have been in this company for a very long time, you know, talking and just airing things out. And it was great because, like, I don't hold grudges. I really don't, you know, and I think CM Punk is an immense talent. You can see the connection he has with an audience. You can see how good of a storyteller he is, especially with all the talent that is surrounding him right now. I mean, look at it right now. Look what's surrounding him. It's CM Punk. It's Seth Rollins. It's DM Hunk, if you will, Drew McIntyre. You know, I mean, there's so many connections there. And then also you have the champion, Damian Priest. So there's so many connections going on. And it's been great. I mean, I don't think wrestling in general has been hotter. And actually, I know that for a fact because I've been here for 20 years and I've seen live events that were maybe 50% full, sold out within minutes. You know, we're going to Cleveland Browns Stadium for SummerSlam. My hometown, we're usually at an arena. And I remember when that arena, we couldn't fill it. It was very difficult to fill because it's a big arena. And now we're going to Cleveland Browns Stadium. And there's going to be 40, 50, 60,000 people there for SummerSlam. This is insane. We're doing stadium shows. And, you know, whether it's on television or non-televised, it's never been hotter. And I'm excited to be a part of this. I think we have tons of top-level talent that, you know, don't get to be on pay-per-views all the time now. Because, you know, I think, and I like the fact that we only have 5, 6 matches because it allows the matches to go long. It allows us to draw out stories so much better. But obviously that means some matches, some superstars don't get to be on those shows, which is sad because I'm like, where's my pay-per-view? Where's my pay-per-view? But I get it. Like, I've been here long enough to know and to understand that now you got to step up. You got to make sure your story is so good that they cannot take it off a pay-per-view, or a PLE as we call them now.
Well, last quick question for you, Miz. Going off of that, who's your ideal opponent for SummerSlam in Cleveland?
Oh, man. People ask me, like, what's your ideal opponent? John Cena? You know what I mean? Like, The Rock. I mean, and, I would love to get the tag titles back with R-Truth. I really would. I always talk to Truth, and I was like, man, you wanted a moment at WrestleMania, right? Truth really wanted that moment at WrestleMania. And I was like, let's get you that moment. And we did it. We got that moment. We stood tall with the tag titles, and we held them for a long time. And then we didn't get them. And we're going to Cleveland Brown Stadium, my hometown. We will, I don't think, and I think it's safe to say this, I don't think that'll ever happen again. I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, a kid that grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, to perform at Cleveland Brown Stadium. Like, this is a moment that I want. Like, you ever just want something so bad and you're not sure if you're going to get it? Like, I don't know if I'm going to have that moment at Cleveland Brown Stadium. I know Truth is there, ready to go. And it's just about getting that opportunity. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get it as hard as possible because I know, Cleveland Brown Stadium might not even be there in like 5 years, right? But this is a place that I grew up going to. So that's why I say, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm not sure what I'm doing yet at SummerSlam. People are like, oh, you're going to be on it. Oh, you're going to be on it. Am I? We don't know. I've done all the press, of course. But you just never know. When your number is called, you do everything you possibly can to elevate it. But I know there's a ton. And I mean, I look at what's going on in WWE right now with the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes, with CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, like Dominic Mysterio. I mean, I can go on. LA Knight, Logan Paul. Like, I mean, think about this. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking to you about SummerSlam's card, and I haven't mentioned me on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm from there. Yeah. Like, it's crazy to say. So I'm excited about it, though.
I'm looking forward to the show. Hopefully you can be on the show. But at the very least, we can catch you on A&E starting this Sunday as with this new documentary on your career. You're a legend now, Miz. You're officially a legend as part of the A&E biography airing this Sunday, July 14th.
I found out I was a legend in the ring, by the way. I didn't know the name of this documentary, right? They were like, yeah, we're doing a documentary on you. I was like, I thought it was just to be called Documentary The Miz, something like that. So me and Truth were in the ring, and we were waiting for a commercial to come back. And, the commercial was the A&E, and it goes, A&E biography, WWE Legends The Miz. Tune in July 14th, Sunday, 8/7 Central. And I looked at Truth and I go, I'm a legend? Like, I didn't know it was called WWE Legends.
Until
I had
then,
no
that's
idea.
Interesting. Wow.
And that was the first time I saw, and I was like, I'm a legend? And Truth's like, yeah, dog, you're a legend. And I go, wow, okay, cool. And it's cool. It's interesting to hear people talking about it, like at the American Century Championship. Like, people have been coming up to me and going, I can't wait for your documentary. I can't wait for your documentary. I'm like, really? People, this is cool. Amazing. Because it's my story. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. But it's like, is it interesting? I saw it. It's amazing. Like, I was like in not necessarily in tears, but like in awe of just how well it was done. And they told this story. They told my story. And I didn't realize I had such a great story until it was put in there. And I went, oh, wow, this is great.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize how hard it was. You don't, when you're going through it, it's just like, this is tough. This is tough. Oh my gosh. I want to, you always sit there and go like, should I quit? No, I can't quit. I don't quit. I never quit. I got to go. And then a day, a week, a month. And then you just keep doing it until, you forget about all the hardships. And then you're like, I'm here. But then there's even more hardships because I want more. I want to do more and be the best I possibly can be for the fans that pay their hard-earned money to come see me.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, man, you deserve it. Congrats on all the success. I look forward to watching the documentary this coming Sunday. As a longtime Miz fan since the Chick Magnet 09 days, it's been a long time. So it's always a great time.
Let me ask you something.
Yes,
Who
go
at
ahead.
Bleacher Report does the grades?
Miz,
Who's grading this stuff? Is that you?
We've
Is that you?
spoken like 5 times, and you ask me this every time. The answer is always no. I don't do it, Miz. I don't.
You do
It's
it.
not me.
I think you do. That's why I ask you every time. Because one of these times you're gonna go, look, I've been lying to you.
I don't.
It's me. And
do you want me? I'll talk to them and try to give you
that one time, that one match, I gave you a D. That one time I gave you, I don't want you, like, I know what my grades are. Like, I can do it in my head. You know what I mean? And I'm in the ring. So I know how well something is going and how not well it's going. I don't think your person grading understands what we have to go through.
Sure.
Did you know that at 7:30 p.m., I got told, can you do commentary? We had an emergency. And I said, absolutely. And then literally did commentary for Monday Night Raw. And you were probably like, oh, why is, Mrs. Commentary, he's pretty good. So I'll give him a B minus. I never even had prep. There was no prep time. What do you want me to do? I'm not a commentator, but I can fill in and do the best I possibly can, because that's just what I am. Like, if they need a host, I'm a host. If they need a utility play, if they need a commentator, I'm a commentator. If they need a main event, I'm a main event. If they need a mid-card, if they need an opening match, I'm that guy. I'm the guy that can give you what you need, when you need it, and no questions asked. And like, if you just say it, let's go. Game on. And it'll be the best thing you've ever seen or heard. And it should be an A+ every time.
Of course, man.
Start grading me correctly.
That's not my fault. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I was supposed to let go of you like 10 minutes ago, so I appreciate taking the time. I'll be at the Fanatics event in NYC, so I'll see you then. But until then, Miz.
I'll see you then.
Big thanks to Miz for the time. Always an entertaining interview. Like I said earlier, we've talked a couple different times by this point, and he's always so much fun to chat with. And like I mentioned during the interview, as a longtime fan of his, it's always a blast, and we always have some really fun chats. So big thanks to him for the chat. You can check out the article version of that interview coming soon over to fansidedailyDDT.com, and the video version over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/WrestleRant. Now we throw it to my conversation with Mr. Marceau, talking all the latest in the world of wrestling. Kind of a quiet week, coming off of last week's very eventful week. Not nearly as much to talk about this week, but nonetheless, Mr. Marceau, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. We're inching closer and closer to SummerSlam in a couple weeks. We have a lot to talk about on that front, including a new Women's World Championship match made official for the show. Not a whole lot to note, worth noting from Raw on Monday night, but we will talk about the highlights from the show, which I thought was good overall. But like I said, a new Women's World Championship match made official for the show. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, a match we all kind of expected to happen, coming off the ending to Rhea Ripley's return to Raw last week. But Morgan and Ripley will rekindle the rivalry on that show. We got plenty of Liv and Rhea on Monday night. A lot of interactions backstage, in the ring. Dominic obviously heavily involved, with him attempting to apologize to Rhea. Rhea calling out Rhea, or Rhea calling out Liv. Liv getting on top of Dominic at ringside during Dom's match with Jey Uso. Rhea putting a halt to that. A lot going on with the Judgment Day love triangle right now, with Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio. Your thoughts on not only the match being made official for the show, which again was a formality on Monday night, but just what they did to kind of further the storyline along, which I think is probably the best story they're telling currently in WWE.
Yeah, they're doing well right now. I mean, easily the best thing that's going on Raw. I mean, the Bloodline stuff on SmackDown's pretty good as well, but like you said, I think what they did on Raw kind of furthered it a little bit more. Dominic's kind of still caught in the middle, doesn't really know where he is. Was kind of really starting with Rhea by the end of the show. Like you said, Liv was literally on top of him. Kid was looking like he was loving it. So, I mean, I think the match, like you said, was a formality, but the story alone is just really good television right now.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I mean, we talked a couple of weeks ago as far as where this could go and who ends up with who, but I think they're doing a great job of keeping interest going into SummerSlam and making you guess as far as who's going to come out, not only with the championship, but with Dominic. As far as Dominic's role in this match, we already talked about, who we might end up with and whatever a few weeks ago, like I said. But do you think in this matchup it could be, eventually added that he's a special guest referee or just present at ringside? Or do you think the match kind of sells itself without him being directly involved as like a referee or something, or custody of Dominic match from 19 years ago with Ray and Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just do one-on-one Rhea and Liv, and like you said, he could be at ringside, and maybe like he comes into the finish, but I don't think he needs to be like a guest referee or anything.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you could do that. I still think there's a chance that we could see that with Seth and Drew. We did see Drew get in the face of Adam Pearce on Monday. pushing Adam Pearce, pushing the referees before Rollins made the save. Adam Pearce was about to make Punk and Drew official for SummerSlam before Drew refused to, apologize to the officials. That was when he got, lost his temper. Rollins went after Drew, saved Adam Pearce from Drew, and that was that. So no CM Punk on the show this week. We did find out he will be returning to Raw next week to probably speak about the situation. It was a good segment, but it was interesting. You would think for a marquee match like Punk and Drew that we've been expecting for this pay-per-view pretty much since Drew got hurt in January. They always said, Punk's timeline for his return could be around 7-8 months. He should be back around SummerSlam time. That being said, without it being made official yet, and that again probably is it is the biggest match in the entire show, even over Cody and Solo, over Rhea and Liv, over Damian and Gunther, would be Punk and Drew, just a regular old standard match. Why do you think they're waiting to hold off? Why do you think they're holding off intentionally on announcing that match? Do you think Punk might not be cleared yet, and that's why they're doing what they're doing by having Rollins get involved as well?
Yeah, I think that would be my first takeaway. It's seemingly like the biggest match you could do, and they are being very hesitant on in putting Rollins in here, or maybe even getting him kind of intertwined a little bit more at Money in the Bank. Maybe that was just like backup plan just in case Punk isn't cleared.
Mm-hmm.
He has got physical a few times, not like he's going like crazy, but I think that's why they're kind of putting Rollins more in it just in case Punk can't go, and then you just do Drew and Rollins. So, I think it's a lot of teasing to not get it. So, maybe they should have toned back all the interference and screwing Drew if we're not getting that match at SummerSlam. But I think that's why we're getting more Rollins just in case, because if that match not on there, they'd be missing a bigger match.
Yeah, I also think it's just to kill television time on the road to SummerSlam with Rollins, but also just get Rollins involved in something, because it doesn't look like he's going to wrestle on the show. If I had to take a guess, I don't think he's going to wrestle on the show, which is kind of wild considering he wasn't even on the show a month and a half ago, and then he returned. They put him in the world title match of Money in the Bank that he lost, was not pinned in, but it would be weird if you brought the guy back just to not compete at one of your biggest pay-per-views of the year, which I know he had an issue with a couple of years ago when he was supposed to be on the show with Matt Riddle, and then they bumped it. That was a Triple H call, I think, right before the pay-per-view. They had a brawl instead, but he didn't actually wrestle on the show, and I know he said later on that bothered him. So I could see this being, a very similar situation. But yeah, it has been made interesting with Rollins also being involved, but has your mind changed at all on the possibility of him being added as a triple threat? Or do you think it definitely will be a one-on-one with Punk and Drew at SummerSlam, depending on Punk's status, obviously, or that a triple threat would be a good idea?
It should be Drew and Punk one-on-one.
Yeah, I didn't think you budged on that either.
I'm not moving.
Yeah, no. I think you just do it as a regular match. And honestly, we don't know Punk's status officially, but I just feel like it would make more sense though if Punk isn't 100%. And I don't think the match was ever going to be like a straight up banger anyway, because I know it's the match we've all been looking forward to, but that's just because they've been feuding for so long. You want to see Drew get his hands on Punk get his hands on Drew. I honestly don't really think, even if Punk's not 100%, I feel like that, one, would make it more realistic, and two, I feel like it's a better story to tell, because I don't think they're closing the show. I think that's going to be Cody and Solo, especially if Roman Reigns is returning on that show. I think you can have these guys go second to last, third to last, whatever, and have Drew just go in there and fucking murder this guy. Like exactly 10 years ago at SummerSlam with Brock and Cena. Now on that show, Cena wasn't hurt. Punk would have more of an out for losing with his legitimate injury. But I think you could just make this like a glorified angle and not have Drew go in there and completely murder him. Punk can get some offense in there, obviously. But I feel like that's a possibility that you could just have Drew go. I think Drew should win the first match anyway. But after all the months of pent-up frustration, I feel like that would be one way to protect CM Punk in defeat.
Yeah, depending if he's still injured, I think that's a great idea. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a one-off anyways. We'll probably feel like bad blood's meant for them, so we'll get some kind of blow-off there. But like I said, I think Drew should win the first one. Punk coming off an injury, screwed Drew 1,000 times. The guy should be extremely pissed, and like you said, maybe get something similar to Brock and Cena from SummerSlam, like you said, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, just getting the match at all, I think, is worth it, and there are more matches to come between the two. Like you said, I think Bad Blood was specifically designed for them. Like, the fact they're doing that, and the fact they're doing it on the actual anniversary of the first ever Hell in a Cell match 17 years ago. I think that just, or 27 years ago, holy shit. Not even 17, 27 years ago. I think just makes the most sense. So, we'll see where they go with it, but I do think that I am still confident that we're getting Punk and Drew at SummerSlam, and I don't think Rollins will be officially involved. He might get involved. I would be surprised if he didn't. But I do think that, I still think it's going to be Punk and Drew officially one-on-one. I would be surprised if we didn't get that, and we got so much interaction between the two if they weren't confident that Punk was going to be cleared, and hopefully it's made official next week on Raw. Damian Priest and Gunther, we already knew that match was happening for a while for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. We've already talked about why, Rollins and Gunther might have been a sexier match on paper, probably a better match even. But I gotta give him credit, though. They had a face-off on Monday night. Priest went on to beat Braun Strowman one-on-one in a fine match. But I feel like one of the better parts of the show on Monday was Damian and Gunther having their war of words. And I actually thought it was really, really good. Now, Priest is not officially turned babyface yet. We saw plenty of him on Monday night in the Liv and Dom stuff and with Rhea and whatever. He's gotten his 2 cents and he was responsible for Rhea returning and whatever. And Rhea even said that backstage on the show this week. But he obviously is leaning babyface. He has been for a while by saying, I don't want interference in my matches. I want to win on my own. Blah, blah, blah. And I thought he held his own in that segment really well on Monday. Gunther as well. I thought that was one of the best promo segments of his entire career. We don't really hear him talk all that often. Was that segment as effective for you as it was for me and a few other people as far as making you look forward to that match at SummerSlam and making you more interested in that match than you were previously?
Yeah, I thought it was very well done. Priest, like you said, is leaning more babyface. Obviously, was the more of a babyface in this promo over Gunther, but I think they both had good things to say. I feel like Priest, like you said, is going more babyface, and Gunther is like I was kind of surprised. I feel like it was more heelish of Gunther than I feel like we've heard him in a while. Like, obviously he's a heel, but some of the verbiage was obviously just more straight on, like, heel than he normally is. But I thought it was a good back and forth. Definitely kind of piqued my interest more for this match. I'm still, like, not overly fond of Priest being champion, but I think this was a good segment to kind of, like, get me more interested in the match. At first, it was just kind of two heels going at it, and yeah. I guess now we're kind of getting more defined roles, and the story there of Priest telling the story that Gunther thinks he's just going to run right through him, and that people have kind of underlooked him.
Yeah, no, I thought it was actually a really good promo as far as, like, Gunther. Like you mentioned, Gunther typically plays it straight, and he is a heel, but, like, he doesn't heel it up too often usually. Like, he'll make fun of his opponents, but that's about it. On Monday, he straight up called Damian Priest street trash. Like, he just straight up called him, like, you're just trash from like a street rat or whatever. Because Priest was talking about doing everything on his own and not really getting anything handed to him like Gunther did when he came to WWE. Didn't have to scratch and claw, blah, blah, blah. I like that dynamic. I'm glad they're going that way because you kind of need someone for the crowd to cheer for. We see a lot of heel versus heel matches nowadays, and all the shows, including AEW, all the promotions do it nowadays, and it's not annoying, like it's something different than what we've gotten in the past and in past years in wrestling. But when you don't have someone that the crowd is going to cheer for, that's kind of part of the problem. That's not the case here. I think they've done a good job of getting people to rally behind Priest and giving them a reason to care about him or a reason to at least want to sympathize with him going into this matchup. But you mentioned how you haven't really liked Damian Priest as World Heavyweight Champion. On that same token, just want to ask you, what's been your overall analysis as we likely approach the end of his reign as World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam, probably being ended by Gunther, obviously? What's been your take on him as the World Heavyweight Champion in the past 3.5 months? Has he risen to that level for you? Because I know he's not Rollins level, obviously, but has he come in nicely into the role, or are you still not sold on him as a main eventer?
I feel like he's done better. I feel like at first I was just kind of like, I just wasn't really a big fan of it. I mean, this match with Jay was pretty good. Been beating Rollins. That was pretty good. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I just feel like they kind of just, obviously with Rhea, they kind of just thrusted him in like that main, like Rhea obviously was the leader. And then with Rhea getting out, I think they did a good job. But it was also at the same time, they were turning him kind of more babyface. Mm-hmm. But he was still technically a heel. So, I mean, it's definitely, I think he's come along farther than I expected. Like, I feel like he is kind of seen as more of a main eventer than just a straight mid-card World Heavyweight Champion. So I think they've done a better job. Like I said, I'm just ready for the Rand. I'm ready for Gunther to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you're coming from a place of like, I'm just ready for Gunther to be champion, and it's not a case of like Damian's run has been so bad, or like, I mean, obviously you said it's not like you don't like the guy, you didn't say that, but I just feel like, because some people say that, and they're like, I'm just fucking sick of seeing this person as champion, whereas like, I feel like the translation of what you're saying, at least in my opinion, is the reign has been long enough, it's going to be 3-4 months by SummerSlam. I think not every run has to be, 10 years. I think it makes sense for him to drop it at that pay-per-view. Or just, am I wrong and you just don't like the run really at all?
No, I think it's been decent. Like I said, I think him being like the head of Judgment Day kind of at first seemed like a little rushed, but I feel like he kind of pulled it off by the end.
Yeah.
Or now, I guess. So, I mean, like 3 or 4 months, I think he's had a good reign. I think it kind of solidified him more as a main event player than obviously before, because he just kind of was strictly tag team mid-card. So that's good. But like I said, not everyone needs a 10-month reign, and I just think his reign's over, and it's time for Gunther to take over the gold belt.
Yeah, and I also don't think that makes him a failure as a champion either if he only holds it for 4 months. I still would have said it was a good run even if he had lost the Money in the Bank to Seth Rollins. But I think he's gone in there and has really, like you said, and like I kind of, asked you in the question, I think he's come into the role really, really well for a guy that was strictly mid-card and tag team prior to that point. He obviously won Money in the Bank, but people thought he might cash in unsuccessfully. And if he was world champion, how well they really even book him. For me, he's checked all the boxes. I'm not saying Damian Priest is the next future, is the future of the company as far as being the face of the franchise. But I even said, we said a couple of years ago when he first arrived on the main roster, like we're going back 3 years here, that he could be a world champion in this company. The guy's got the size, obviously, and that was when Vince was still running things. But for me, he checks 3 different boxes, that being, a couple different boxes. He's got the size factor, which is one thing, but the guy can obviously go. His wrestling has never been in question for as long as he's been in the company, including in NXT. They've had the story going with Rhea and the Judgment Day and their interference or lack thereof, and he's obviously won with help from Punk and all these other factors in the last couple of months. But it's all played into the story really, really well. But I think the promo department is really where they've done well with him, or at least he's done well with himself, because he wasn't like the greatest talker on the roster prior to this run, and I'm not even saying now he is, but I feel like the promos have improved a lot with what they've been giving him to say, how he's been handling the promos, the delivery of it, including the Gunther one on Monday, was probably his best one as World Heavyweight Champion. Because like when he first won the world title and he was having promo exchanges on Raw, a lot of people were quiet or didn't care or whatever. It wasn't really clicking. But I feel like he's done really, really well with that as World Heavyweight Champion. So my only hope is that when he does lose it at SummerSlam, he doesn't get completely banished to the mid-card and get like the Kofi Kingston treatment where they never again look at him at that level. Like with Jinder, it made sense because he never belonged at that level. But like Kofi had legs as a main event guy. Again, not as the future of the company, but like is, an upper echelon tier competitor. And then they completely fucking ruined that with the Brock thing, and then they just never followed up on it at all. At least with Damian, I think there's something there where I feel like he could be a main eventer after this run is over. Or do you think he's probably banished to the mid-card and won't ever get back to that level? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think he's done well, and you kind of highlighted there. I think his promo specifically, I don't know if it's just the material that they're giving him or just maybe just more confident with kind of leaning more babyface and heel. I feel like his heel promos can be very like, he has like a deeper voice and he kind of like leans into that more, and it just seems kind of more hokey and not authentic. But with his promo on Raw on Monday, I feel like as a babyface, it seemed more genuine and it felt more real, which usually was a good sign because I feel like you're obviously more comfortable saying things that you really feel, and it came off more realistic and it came off more confident and just a better promo than like his grovelly heel Judgment Day promo. So I think the promo department, I think he's got the size, his in-ring's good enough. I think the promos were really where it needed to shine. I think they've done a good job either giving material, getting his confidence up, or he's just doing it on his own. But I think that's definitely been his biggest bright spot so far as champion.
I agree. I think a lot of the talent in this company have a kind of fall into the trap of just working on, not even working on, but just utilizing the catchphrases and not actually cutting meaningful promos. I mean, a lot of the people on the roster are just promos. I mean, LA Knight has a lot, or not promos, I'm sorry, catchphrases. He has a lot of catchy catchphrases, and he has cut meaningful promos as LA Knight. I mean, the guy can just talk in general. But like Priest with the All Rise thing, before Rhea got hurt, a lot of her promos were just catchphrases. They were just like, Mommy's always on top, and all this other sort of shit. It's like, okay, can we get some more depth to these fucking promos? Becky Lynch a little bit towards the end there when she was like, the man comes around, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we hear the same shit in every fucking promo. If I hear Randy Orton say, I'm going to RKO you out of nowhere, or the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, it's like, oh, I'm going to fucking vomit. I hate when they always rely on the catchphrases. I know they have to because that's what the company is, and that's how you get things over. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But they just do it too much is my problem. And that feels like a Vince thing that they could still be working on. But, I don't know. That's just a small criticism. But otherwise, I agree, and I feel like he's done a really good job. You talk about confidence. Do you have confidence in this renewed push for the former Brawling Brute, the former Butch, that being Pete Dunne, who we saw on Monday attack Sheamus after his match with Bronson Reed? His tag team partner Tyler Bate got hurt, so they're utilizing Dunne in this story with Sheamus, saying that Sheamus kind of ditched him after Brawling Brutes because Sheamus got hurt. Pete Dunne was on his own. Him and Ridge broke up. Ridge went back to NXT, obviously. I like it because I don't know if we're going to get, like, Pete Dunne, I don't think in this company at this point will ever be world champion, but heel Pete Dunne circa, like, 5-7 years ago, I feel like could be really good. And if anyone knows Pete Dunne like that, it's Triple H. So I'm not saying he'll be like a top tier player on this show, but even attacking Sheamus on Monday night because Sheamus is so beloved, got him good heat on Monday. So your thoughts on the Pete Dunne heel turn? Do you give a shit? And what kind of potential do you think this has?
It has potential. I don't know how much it really has. I mean, he hasn't really been booked the greatest on the main roster. Obviously, now with Bate being out, maybe they'll kind of focus a little bit more on him, but I mean, he definitely got good heat, I'll give you that. I don't know, the whole like finger manipulation thing for me at this point is kind of run its course. So I just don't, it doesn't really do much for me to begin with, and now at this point I've seen it so many times that just like, I just don't give a shit. He doesn't really have any depth to his character. I don't know, I think he's obviously a good wrestler. The character work's just missing. And I feel like his in-ring, like I said, the whole hand thing, because he does it constantly. Yeah. It's not even like it's like a one or two. It's always it's like talking about catchphrases. It's like his binky just always goes back to the fucking hand snapping. So I mean, I think it's a good attempt. We'll see where it goes from here, but I'm not overly loving it.
Yeah, I mean, the hand thing he's been doing since he arrived in the company, you are right. He's done it so much that it almost doesn't even really matter at some point. I mean, Marty Scurll would have the same issue if he was still involved at a major level, if he wasn't, banished for the stuff that he was accused of, did, whatever, from a few years ago. But, he was the same type of thing where he would constantly go for the fingers, and it was cute for like a couple of years, and it's like, all right, you utilize it rather so much, it loses its like impact, or like, oh man, that looks like it's hurt. It hurts because you do it so much. So I agree with that. But let me tell you this. I mean, I don't know if you cared or not, but what got more heat for me on Monday than Pete Dunne attacking Sheamus was when Sheamus came out, and it had nothing to do with Sheamus himself, but the fact they changed his fucking song. And everyone online was upset about it. And just because I really liked that other song, I just don't understand this company. They brought back that old song. And if you don't care about it, that's totally fine. But they brought back the old song for 3 months. Maybe not even. Maybe 2.5, 3 months. And then they ditch it. Not even for like the CFO song that he was using when he was with the bar and whatever, which he was using as his intro for the old song recently. They ditched that too. They just gave him some fucking generic Def Rebel garbage. I mean, I don't know, dude. It just feels like to me, for a company that has made so many positive changes with the production, creative, and everything else business-wise, how are they still not, like, I mean, not even not listening? I mean, I guess they know that people are upset about it, but they still have done nothing about it. They still have Def Rebel in charge of this awful fucking music. You'll get a banger theme once in a while for, like, the Bloodline or, the occasional person, but most people in this company have, like, terrible fucking music. Do you agree with that, or is it something that doesn't really bother you?
I mean, it depends on the person. Like, I feel like Sheamus, like, the Too Many Lies, like, I mean, it's, for me, it was like, not that I overly, it's not like I'm obsessed with something. Obviously, it has nostalgia because it's so used originally. And I don't even mind the other one, I don't even know the one. Like I said, the bar one, basically.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't even. It's just the instrumental, basically. That one was good too. I mean, this one I'd have to hear it again. I didn't think it sounded too bad. I mean, I think more people were more mad that like
they changed it.
I guess. I don't think like listening on a run, I didn't really. I obviously could tell it was new, but it's not like I'm like, oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
I mean, with specifically for me, like Braun Breakers, like they changed it again, and it's like I don't know. I thought the last one he had was like.
I actually didn't mind the last one.
I liked the last one better than his original one, and then they just changed it again, and like.
Dude,
I like the other one because like at least it had like the siren. This one has the siren, I guess, at the beginning too. But it had like the dog barking. This one doesn't have that. Like,
oh no, really? I
this
thought they still
more
had that.
generic like calm music than anything else.
Yeah, I actually did not mind that last song. People fucking shit all over that, which is probably why they changed it to what they have now. I actually, shockingly, I think we're in the minority, did not mind that song. It was definitely generic, but you know, I still liked it for what it was. And then they went ahead and changed it again. So I don't know, man. And then there's no like hard and fast rule either. Just a lot of the music issues they have, they just don't make sense. It's just completely inconsistent. Because like I said, they gave Sheamus his song back, but for only a couple months. At that point, why even do it at all? Or why not just do it for one night? They kind of like blue ball people for like 3 fucking months, and then they just took it away. Like, but then on the same token, like Sami Zayn got his CFO song back when we were there, and he still has it. It's been over a year. It's like if they can't use CFO, then. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not consistent.
I think it might just depend on the person, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like...
It does. It definitely does.
Not to, like, shit on Sheamus, but, like, he's kind of, like, low mid-card at this point. Like, at least with Sammy, like, he's all over the show, Intercontinental Champion. He's been a big deal. So I feel like most main eventers are top people. They have good music. I feel like the people that are, like, either mid or, like, they're coming up, they, like I said, with Breaker specifically. I actually really like the old one. The barking in it. I don't know. Like his original theme was like, eh.
I like the original theme too.
I even like like you said, the new one. I have to hear it again, but from my memory, just hearing it recently, just generic, like Ultimate Warrior rip-off music. It sounds like to me, but I mean, like I said, some people have good theme. I don't know why you keep tinkering with them. Like,
yeah,
just keep it the way it is. But like I said, it's not like they're changing like. Roman Reigns' music or someone that's like on the show. It's not like Cody changes music or someone like big. Like I love Solo's music, and a lot of people don't. I think his fucking song slaps.
Most people do. But, I think most people. I don't really care for
I
myself.
Think other people like I thought Jacob Fatu's is good. I like Tama Tonga's.
Love Tama Tonga's, yeah.
I'm trying to think who else.
I mean, Roman's
I don't know who else is Def Rebel and who's not, but
yeah.
I mean,
Rollins
most
is
people
Rebel.
have. Decent, good to. I mean, Rollins, he's had that forever.
Yeah, he's had it forever, but it is a Def Rebel song technically. Same thing with Roman.
So. Okay. Well, yeah. So I guess they just have some stinkers. Hey, not every band goes platinum with every record, right? I
would say more than some. That's the issue. I just feel like a majority of the roster. You're right. The top talent are largely safe. It's the people coming, but that's the problem though. The people coming up need good music in order. I'm not saying you need to rely on a song to get you over, obviously. But I feel like that is a big factor in the presentation. If you have a shitty-ass entrance or a shitty-ass song that, like you said, the Braun Breaker one, maybe it's decent. I don't know. Maybe it's perfectly fine. Not everything has to be great or awful. But the problem with the new Breaker song and a lot of the songs on these shows, I can't pick them out of a fucking lineup. If you played it for me right now, I probably could not tell you who it belonged to. And I feel like that's even worse. At least if it's bad, you know it belongs to this guy. Like Jim Johnston had his fair share of stinkers. Let's not sugarcoat that. But at least I knew who that song belonged to for the most part. A lot of these songs are just generic as fuck, and it's not going to get anyone over because it's like it has no identity to it. It's just a song.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously too, it kind of sticks out more, especially during the Rumble when it's like lower end guys. And you're like, I mean, when Andrade, obviously this is because he was debut, but Andrade's, even today, I don't know if he was on Raw when I went. I don't know. I could have sworn, at least it played like a video package, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was there. I don't even remember, honestly. But like his music was played, I'm like, I have fucking no idea who it is.
Yeah, seriously.
Obviously, it's like, because it's like a little instrumental or like random thing, and then it goes like, El Idolo. But like, besides that, I'd have fucking no idea who it is. And, like, even when the Rumble happened, like, I guess they're more on Raw now, but, like, when Chance and Carter came out, they just played, like, the...
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this? And then they come running out, you're like, oh, okay. But, like you said, it's not as
distinguishable.
I
I
feel
don't
like a
know.
lot of people is just like very like similar instrumental.
Yeah, a lot of them are similar. I think people have picked apart like certain themes that have certain parts, and again, certain themes even from years ago sounded similar or just flat out recycled. But yeah, for people like
Even
Chance
AJ's
Carter,
new one I think sucks.
I'm not a fan of it. It's grown on me, but it's like I know the other song he had for so long. It is a great song. Maybe it didn't fit him as a heel as much. I get that. I don't know. You would think this was never going to happen. You would think at the very least with this TNA partnership they would bring back not Get Ready to Fly, but he had like for the darker persona that he had towards the end, Evil Ways or whatever it was. That was a great fucking song. Something along those lines. Hey, just utilize that if you're working with TNA like AJ or like AEW did with TNA. And they just don't do that. They just give people new fucking music, and most of it is shit. When AJ came out at Mania, people were like, "The fuck is this?" Because that was when he debuted that new song. It's like, bro, it's bad. But listen, it sounds so dumb to be complaining about music. But the reason I bring this up, it is important with WWE specifically. I mean, it's important with any company and any performer. But it's like WWE is so much about presentation. Like people's entrances now on these PLEs are like fucking 5 minutes long. So if I'm gonna be listening to this person's entrance or watching it, it better be fucking good. Like Orton's obviously got an iconic entrance. It's gone unchanged. Thankfully, he's talked about like, oh, they wanted to tweak it. Thank fucking God they did not, because that would have been terrible.
He wanted to change it.
He did.
Said he wanted to change it.
He did tell me that he wanted to change it, but I mean, he wanted to change it, but the people working on said change song are just not great at their jobs, to be perfectly honest with you. If this was Jim Johnston, I'm sure he could have come up with a banger. Like Jim Johnston did, you know, the current one, but he also did Burnin' My Light and shit like that. Like, that's a great song. They're both great songs. But I don't trust Def Rebel. Burnin' My Light is a classic. I know he didn't like it, but, you know, it's a classic. I would not trust Def Rebel with changing Orton's song or literally anyone else's music at this point. And Sheamus, again, it's not awful, but it's not too many limes. I just don't understand why you would give people what they want and then take it away. I just don't understand that, because there's no rule to this shit at all.
Yeah, because you just give them what they want and then just take it back. They're happy for 2 seconds. But with the presentation, like you were saying before, like with the catchphrase, I feel like that's like similar like the Paul Heyman thing. You know when this person's coming out, you know like there's gonna be a lot, like like it's relatable in a sense. Like you said with the music, it's the same kind of thing. It's like you hear the music, you know who it is. I mean, like you said, I'm pretty sure like both Usos is Def Rebel. They both have good songs. So it just like I said, it really depends on the person. Obviously, theirs has words, and it's like not like just generic instrumental like some of these people are that we're talking about. Like at least there is some kind of personality or like some relatability to it. But I guess like you said, hey, Jim Johnson had some stinkers too. Now I guess at the end of the day, we just gotta sum it up. Not everyone's gonna have great entrance music.
Who was the person you just mentioned? Not Orton. Who was the first person that you just mentioned there?
I said,
what were we talking about?
Whose music I was talking about specifically?
Yeah, I was, because I had a comment on that.
I said Solo specifically at first.
Yeah, the Bloodline. Oh man, I just forgot. You had just said something.
Solo, the Usos.
Oh, the Usos. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Usos music is great. That's Jay specifically is one they actually put effort into, but it's just so funny though. Like even the most mid member of the now former member of the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso, had fucking amazing music or has amazing music.
His music might be better than Jay's, honestly.
Honestly,
his song is legit. Like could be on the radio.
For Jimmy Uso, like Jay and Jimmy had one of the worst match at WrestleMania this year, but their songs are great, so I could watch their entrances for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that's the state of this company. I mean, the company has great matches and creative. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying some of these people are made better by their music, and Jimmy Uso is one of them. Like I hate the whole.
Easily.
The whole aura thing is so overused now. You see that so often on Twitter. But, like, he has a little bit of aura because of that song alone. Like, if he had shitty-ass music, he would just be a straight-up bum. But at least he's a bum with great music. You know what I mean? Like...
It's true. Yeah, no, legit. Like, he has really good music. His songs... I think it might be better than Jay's, honestly.
Dude, it's like and I'm not saying... This guy's more talented than Jimmy. But it's like the Billy Kidman syndrome. I couldn't tell you many, if any, Billy Kidman matches from 20 years ago. But that song that he debuted at Survivor Series, You Can Run But You Can't Hide, the lyrics are questionable. The song's a fucking banger. Like, it's better than 80% of the music that we have today. Like, Jim Johnston got people over with the music.
The song itself was probably not too relatable to Billy Kidman himself.
No, not at all.
The song is an absolute banger.
An absolute banger. Like, at least even back then, a lot of bums had great music. Like, there were so many people, like, even Hardcore Holly had good music, and he never won a fucking match to save his life. So, I don't know, man. It's something they got to work on. I wanted to ask you about this last week. I totally forgot, but it was more relevant a week ago. We obviously saw the Sonya, Zoey Stark, Shayna Baszler alliance formed, and they're in the tag team division, and they won their matches on Monday. That's fine. I feel like they have fine chemistry together. I'm not sure how much people are going to really even care. Zoey and Shayna were not all that interesting on their own. You throw in Shayna, or Sonya rather. I like Sonya. Their heels, feuding with fellow heels and Damage Control. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Not really about that, but what it made me kind of think of was because, again, they're doing more with the tag teams right now. We haven't, I don't know if we talked about it on the show. You asked me about it before we hit record last week. Have we even seen Alba Fire and Isla Dawn on the show since they won the titles? The answer is yes, we've seen them on the show, and you know that. But the answer is no, they have not defended the belts once, and that was 5-6 weeks ago. Like, not even a single fucking time. So I'm not even really sure what the point was. But we have so many tag teams. But the new rumor coming out is that WWE might be experimenting with or toying with the idea of debuting women's mid-card belts. Now, we've talked about this before. At this point, again, getting rid of the tag titles, today is Thursday, the sky is blue. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but they got to get rid of that shit. Replacing them with women's mid-card belts, at least starting with 1, 2 might be excessive. But I think doing one from the beginning, I think might work. So when you hear that rumor, and I know you saw the rumor, we discussed it previously. I don't know if it's legit. I know it came from a source that doesn't have a great track record, but other reports or other outlets did back up, oh yeah, there's a chance that it could happen. Your thoughts on that, and just the chance that we might, at some point see a women's mid-card belt, and if you would be in favor of it or not.
I mean, compared to these crappy tag team belts, 1,000% yes. There's a lot. They put the belts on fire, and Triple H like, no, we didn't just put them on them because it's Scotland. We like they're great. Like we see the potential in them. They literally haven't defended the belts once. I don't know if they've. I think they've never wrestled one match. I think Fire wrestled a singles match, maybe. I might be like manifesting that. It might not even happen.
No, not on TV. On main event,
yeah. These people,
yeah.
They're not on TV at all. They're in backstage segments that no one gives a fuck about. And then you have this other group that debuts who's also heel, because they're heels too. Then you're fighting against another heel team. It's just, why put the belts on them? I just don't get it. And
yeah,
I've said this 1,000 times at this point. You just got to kill the division. Like, no one cares. They're all just like another team put together. I just feel like they're focused all, like, I get, like, you have to build up new teams if you really want to put them, but, like, you're building up more heels to face heel champions who are never on the show to begin with. I mean, it's not like they have a ton of babyface teams on Raw anyways. Realistically, it's Chance and Carter. Like, couldn't think of anyone else that's a tag team on Raw even is a babyface, so not really sure how much farther you can go with that, but, like, why put the belts on them? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. I just feel like the whole tag team thing is a complete waste. I just feel like these women would be better utilized with a mid-card belt. I just feel like there's a chance that someone could get more over, but like I know you talked about, like you weren't super in favor of the idea of like Chelsea Green winning Money in the Bank. Tiffany's obviously a better fit. But I do think if you were to have a women's mid-card belt, maybe that floated, or just 2 separate belts at some point, someone like a Green could become champion, maybe even Dakota Kai. I don't see Dakota Kai at this point ever becoming women's world champion. I just don't see that. I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like you could see her as like a women's intercontinental champion if they were to bring in a women's mid-card belt at some point. I don't think it's imminent, but at some point I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what we're getting right now, I think anything is better.
It's an improvement.
I think the tag team stuff's run its course. It's just not there. Like last week, they had a couple tag matches that no one gave 2 fucks about. Honestly, felt bad for the people in Worcester. Got 2 of them. Jesus Christ. I think they just need to scrap it. They put like we've discussed this before, and like at least when Vince was around, like. They didn't actually, like, they were, like, kind of, like, 20% on it. Like, you'd see it 1 week, and then you wouldn't see it for 3 weeks. I'll give them the credit. They've tried. They've done this to death at this point. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work. It's not going to work, and you just need to scrap it. Like, the people you can't make people care about people that they don't care about.
I mean, they weren't even on TV, though. I mean, even prior to this whole thing, they weren't on TV at all. I mean, honestly, I just feel like, and it's not even a trying thing, because, yeah, they have tried. You're right. I mean, they have tried, and it just doesn't work. But with Fire and Dawn specifically, they weren't even on the show. When they were on SmackDown, I think they may have made all of 3 appearances in a year. Then they come to Raw, and they're barely on the show. Like, are we seeing Jade and Bianca want to chase them, or Damage Control getting a shot? Because that was teased at one point, but then they were attacked by Shayna and Zoey. I feel like they're just filling these segments to get people on the show. But I just feel like a mid-card belt would be better for people like Zelina, Sonya, Zoey, and Shayna. I just don't care. I think they're good workers. I like both women, but I just cannot bring myself to care at all. One last thing for you, Mr. Marceau, on the AEW front. Last night, they had actually a really good show. I thought MJF becoming the new international champion, beating Will Ospreay in like an hour-long match. In the opener, it was a great match. Blood and Guts also next week. It's the Elites, Bucks, Okada, Perry, and Page against Team AEW, Strickland, Mark Briscoe, the Acclaimed, and Darby Allin. He filled out the team last night. But the one AEW thing I did want to ask you about this week, it was rumored yesterday, a Dallas Stadium show in 2015. It's going, we had a fucking time machine, I guess. 2025, probably All In. I think Tony Khan was asked about it the other day in an interview, and he said no. I mean, obviously he's going to say no. He's not going to announce it in a fucking interview, but it seems like it's a possibility. Per Fightful, there's a chance it could happen. Likely bringing All In to the Dallas area. That to me immediately screams Cowboy Stadium, AT&T, but maybe it's another stadium. I don't know. When you hear that, first of all, what are your thoughts on it? Because like it's nice and all, like it's a nice idea, but if they can't even fill, I don't know what the current attendance is for All In next month at Wembley, but it's pretty down, I think, from last year. If they can't even fill like 5,000 people in a building for Dynamite, I just can't imagine they're going to sell 60, 70,000 tickets for a stadium show in Dallas. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that part. Maybe I missed that or haven't seen that rumor. But, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, like you said, I feel like they've had some good shows, but, like, it's just... It doesn't. I'm trying to think the right way to articulate it. Like, I feel like they've had good matches, and I feel like people like that, but it only goes so far. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they can't even really fit the arena. Like, they're doing small arenas now, and they're not really selling those out. So, what would, in a sense, make you want to book a big venue if you can't even, like you mentioned before? I'm pretty sure I don't know what the attendance is, but I haven't really heard a lot about it. So, I assume it's not the greatest, because if it was better or like close to what they did last year, you'd obviously hear a lot about it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I just don't know why you would do that. I know it's kind of like swallowing your pride and you're like kind of accepting like you're not as hot as you once were, but I feel like you kind of have to do that. It's different with Tony specifically because like he has the money. Like the money's not going to run out. Like people always be like, oh, like all these other companies would have to like scale back in the day or like change their thing, but like his money at this point is pretty unlimited, so like he can do that. It's not like the end of the world, but I just feel like they need to realize that like they need to change some things to just kind of get back on track. But yeah, I mean, running bigger buildings, I don't think that's like is one of the right decisions. But I mean, that's not my money, I guess, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but I think you need to start with more internal changes and just kind of change the philosophy, and then just start running big buildings out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of their early success early on, and we were at some of those Dynamite shows when they were running like the smaller, like college campus level stuff, and they've done some of that recently, and I just feel like it comes across better on TV when you don't have like a half-empty building. First of all, when you can hear it, but also when you visually look at it. It just looks a lot better. Maybe I'm just putting... I mean, I know I saw the report about the Dallas Stadium show. Maybe people were just putting words into the report as far as like, oh, it's got to be AT&T. I just can't see that. I think it would be cool if they did it and they did well, because last year's Wembley attendance surprised me. I can't imagine they run AT&T, because, I mean, Texas is a kind of an untapped market for them. They're there for like a month. They're taping a lot of their TV there this month. But they don't go there for pay-per-views, really. It's not like it's New York or California again. It's something different. But when I hear stadium, I automatically think TNT, AT&T, but it's got to be something like Arthur Ashe, where it fits like 2030. I can't imagine they would do another 100,000-seat arena. People were like, I can't believe I saw someone say this. Someone was like, they might be doing that building because they want to break WWE's record of like 90,000. Like, bro, that ain't fucking happening. Not in Texas. I mean, if they can't even do that at Wembley for a second straight year, I doubt it happens at AT&T in Texas in 2025. I think the product's very good. They just don't have that same buzz they did even a year or two ago. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't think it's feasible. And I would put my effort elsewhere, like you said, but not my company, just my own 2 cents. I think they could do it. I just don't think it's as likely as it was even a year ago. But like I said, we'll see in due time. We'll talk more about this stuff next week, Mr. Marceau. New episodes every single Thursday, WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com as well. New episodes available on all the usual podcast platforms. Rate, review, subscribe. All the support greatly appreciated. We'll be talking next week, I think about, SummerSlam's not for another 2 weeks, so we got a little bit until that. But we'll catch up next week, brother. Enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you then.
See you later, man.
All right, brother.
Join Graham, GSM Matthews, and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.